Hello everyone, hope you're all having a nice day, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some of the new reveals from the special set Battle Legion, which will likely become part of our assuming Easter set, although special set reveals for us tend to come a bit later than we'd anticipate, so I'm not sure when this stuff's going to come out in the West, but hopefully sooner rather than later, I think, because well, there's a lot of interesting stuff being revealed. I honestly didn't think they would reveal so much like more new stuff after how amazing Brilliant Stars looks, and that's coming out relatively shortly. I think it's the end of February, so not long till that. But either way, I think this is really cool. So unless you couldn't already tell by the title and thumbnail, there was a Lucario and Darkrai Vstar revealed, and there is also a new mechanic. Well, it's not new, it's returning, but it's a sort of a new mechanic in this sense, and it's called Sparkling Pokemon. So as it says here, Sparkling Pokemon are shiny looking guys, and they're powerful basic Pokemon, and you can only include one in your deck. So that doesn't mean you can say, oh, for Greninja, for example, and then no other Sparkling Pokemon. You literally can't play more than one of these guys. So you can only play one copy. So you do have to choose when you're like deck building. Do you play, the Greninja, or do you play the Hawlucha? And hopefully, as what I'm assuming, and what a lot of other people are assuming as well, is they'll print a lot more of these guys, and hopefully some trainer support for them as well. So we should be able to see an entire like subset of this sort of stuff coming out in the next few sets. Hopefully that does make some sort of sense. This is comparable to stuff like Prism Stars, which we've seen in the past. Prism Stars were so much fun. If you never played in the Sun and Moon era, or like maybe you play Expanded online, you'll have heard of like Prism Stars and Apex, where you can only play one in your deck because they're so powerful. Most of the Prism Stars from memory were really good. A lot of them were really fun, especially the stadiums. So I have like fond memories of Prism Stars. I wasn't around for Apex, unfortunately. I didn't take the game too seriously back then, but I do play a bit Expanded here and there, so I'm familiar with stuff like, Dowsing Machine, for example, and I think it's Aspec, and Computer Search, which I think is the most famous one. So definitely a cool mechanic to see return to the game. Definitely adds a little bit of depth to deck building as well. So super powerful cards. Hope it's not prized if you rely on them. So I wouldn't try and build a deck around one, but hey ho, could be fun. So we'll get into the translations of those guys a little bit later on. So it is worth noting that this set is like a special set for Japan. They released two sort of like special style decks, one Lucario and then one for Darkrai. I'm sure we'll see like the rest of the reveals for Battle Legion in the upcoming weeks, I'm guessing. I don't think they'll leave it too long to reveal everything because it is coming out in February 25th, so we will likely see the rest of the set revealed in a couple of weeks, which is really cool. So moving on to the reveals from this Battle Legion set, we have a Litwick, Ember Uproar, always love to see my name in attack. Discard a top card of your opponent's deck, nothing too impressive, but it does fit the whole strategy of Chandelures, we'll see in a minute. I do have to say I love the artwork though, big fan of that. Lampent has 8 HP, good level ball search, always nice to see. Flickering Lamp does 20 damage, flip a coin of heads, discard an energy. Nothing too impressive, but again, does fit the sort of mill style attack that's kind of going on with Chandelure, because it's a mill card for some reason. I'm not sure why they picked Chandelure to be the mill Pokemon. I'd rather Chandelure was like saved for cool abilities and cool attacks, but if you're a fan of mill, I guess this is what we have to work with. So Chandelure, Mountain Burner ability, once in your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve a Pokemon, you may discover top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. I'm assuming, however, this ability itself isn't limited to just one Chandelure, so you could actually play like a thick line of these guys and then just scoop up net them and start discarding cards from top of your opponent's deck. Maybe play this with Durant. That's like the most obvious partner I can think of in Standard, at least. Expanded, there's like better mill options, but in Standard, yeah, you could probably play it with Durant, since Durant has like 8 different ways of playing its first attack with a special energy. So I kind of like the idea of using Chandelure there, but other than that, it's nothing really too impressive. As to be expected, the attack is extremely lackluster due to having a somewhat cool ability, so bit of a shame. Wish Chandelure was better, but it is what it is. Moving on swiftly to Stormy V, has the Swift attack for 2 colors energy, 50 damage, not affected by weakness, resistance, or any other effects. Nothing impressive, we don't really care about that attack. We do care about this one though. Energy Spiral for 2 water energy does 50 damage times the number of energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon play. This attack really stands out to me not only because it's for 2 water energy, so primarily you're playing this in like a Melanie or a, for example, Frostmoth deck. It also has free retreat, so it's like really nice and splashable in those decks. But 50 damage for each energy is really good. I mean, if you think we're moving into like an Arceus V-Star style format where it's accelerating 3 energy from the deck to something, and it has potentially 3 energy attached to it already, you could just randomly swing for 300 out of nowhere, which is really impressive. I don't think this is enough as like a deck on its own. I do think it needs partners, but it is pretty cool. I mean, if the argument for just playing this on its own with its own Melanie and Entitlement engine is that even if your opponent has like 1 attacker, for example, and 3 energy, you are still doing like 150 damage. You can obviously crank that up a bit to like 180 with a choice belt. So I don't think this card is terrible at all. There's also a really good Darkrai V-Star. Very, very good. So I think Energy Spiral is pretty good. Free Retreat just goes a long way as well, even if the HP and first attack is a bit lackluster. But enough about Starmie. Moving on a little bit, we have Sparkling Greninja. So Greninja is one of 2 sparkling Pokemon that were revealed. Notice how it has a rule box. So like cards like Rapid Strike and Polygon, for example, would actually shut off Greninja's ability. But what does the ability do? Well, it says once during your turn, you may discard an energy card from your hand, then draw 2 cards. It doesn't specify basic energy. I think that's really important because it means if you're running a lot of special energy in your deck, or you just need to discard a special energy to draw more cards, this is it. I think this is an amazing ability. I would not underestimate this card. It's just like one of those cards that seems very splashable as a tech. If it ends up being not terribly expensive, I could see this being a sort of a budget replacement for even cards like Crobat for 1 prize players who are just looking for something cheap to play, because discarding an energy and drawing 2 cards is just really good. Like, you're always going to have energy in your hand most of the time. Drawing 2 more cards could be the difference between finding a boss to win the game and finding the next piece of your evolution chain, or finding just digging deeper in general. We've seen how good Cinccino is. We've seen how good Shadow Rider, Zoroark, all the rest of them. So I think this is no different. It is 130 HP, which is, I want to initially say that's kind of annoying because it means you have to use Quick Ball or Ultra Ball or Great Ball to find it. You can't use Level Ball. But 130 HP does mean you're like safe from Rapid Flow. It's definitely a plus side. So if this is taking up your like Manaphy bench slot, at least it's a little bit tankier than other stuff. But yeah, great ability, and it's worth playing for the ability alone. I generally think it's that good. Moonlight Shuriken is the attack. It's nothing amazing, but as a backup attacker in something like Frostmoth, I think it's really good. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, and it does 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's other Pokemon. So just 90 damage to 2. If your opponent isn't playing a Manaphy, you can just snipe 2 Durazals, for example. It's a really good effect. Just also like softening up 2 Pokemon, doing 90 damage to both of them is really good. I mean, if we think of something like just a Frostmoth build in general, can't really be Melanie, unfortunately, but a Frostmoth build would have definitely appreciate this. So yeah, I would give it 5 stars. I think this card's really good. So Howlucha, a little bit on the lackluster end, but still a really good card. So Sparkling Hawlucha has 90 HP, so mentioned earlier that Level Ball is really popular, so that's a really good plus right off the bat. Has the ability Big Match. If his Pokemon is on your bench, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon VMAX. It doesn't mention before or after weakness or resistance. I'm assuming it will mean before weakness or resistance, because that could mean all the difference between getting 2 KOs that you now need. If you think about something like Dragapult VMAX has always kind of struggled to get there with damage. Now it doesn't even have to play the choice belt. It can just slap one of these on the bench and hit for 160 on a VMAX. I mean, yeah, we are moving into like a V-Star format, but if you think, oh, I can just play like 2 choice belt, 1 Howlucha, I'm already playing like an entire engine, so I can find everything really easy. I can just level ball for this guy. It just makes a lot more sense. I am wondering, though, how relevant this ability is, because we are moving away from VMAXs, and I think that could be like a big problem for this card in terms of seeing play. And its attack is also very lackluster compared to Greninja, who at least has a playable attack in water decks. The spinning kick isn't very good, unfortunately, but it is cool to see another Howlucha card that's a fighting type and has a cool ability. So Definitely a cool card. If it was to plus, even if this just said plus 20 damage to Pokemon V Star, I would say this card was busted, amazing, cracked, all the rest of it. But 32 V Max is fine. It is what it is. Moving on, we have the most pitiful card revealed. I'm honestly glad they revealed this early on just to get it out of the way, and it's a shame because the last Garchomp revealed was also really bad. I don't know why they're doing Garchomp dirty all of a sudden. But anyway, Sonic Striker, discard 3 energy from his Pokemon, you do 220 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Yep, you have no retreat cost, you have no weakness, you have 200 HP, but you need a water to fighting a Colossus. How on earth are you getting the energy on there? Even in expanded, this is a chore because you obviously can't attach multiple double dragon in one turn unless you're using some kind of special stage 2, if there even is such a thing that can attach multiple. And then you have to recycle them every turn, and yeah, it's just a bad card. It's a shame. Then we see some like cool parts of the Lucario and Darkrai deck being revealed. I do hope they release the mats in the West. They usually don't with this sort of thing, but I do hope they do. If they release these as like a 60v60 card deck, hopefully they include the mats and the coins because I really like them. So Lucario V, kicking us off, we have 210 HP, nice to see. It's about average for V Pokemon, but a little bit above what we'd expect for evolving V Pokemon. I do kind of like having 210 HP. It's definitely a better number than, for example, Starmie, who can get one killed by Moltres V and stuff. All this stuff doesn't sound that relevant until you like go into test games, and then it makes all the difference. It does make all the difference. And then it's a first attack, does Crush Punch, 50 damage, discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Very good attack. Do not underestimate this. It's great. It just buys you more time. It can destroy double turbo decks that are relying on attaching that turn. It also disrupts, horror energy and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely a good attack. Nothing much going on with Cyclone Kick and Cyclone Kick, unfortunately, doing only 120 damage, but a bit of a shame. But moving on to Lucario V Star, has 270, so nearly at 280, so pretty tanky. Weakness to Psychic is a bit annoying because it means stuff like Whimsicott and Shadow Rider is going to be hitting you pretty hard. But other than that, the main attacks are actually pretty interesting. We have Fighting Knuckle, does 120, and if your opponent's active is a V, so that's V, V Star, or V Max, it does 120 more, so 240 for 3 energy. And then why this is good is because with a Choice Belt, you can do 270. Right, so you can knock out opposing Lucario. You can knock out. We're already knocking out Arceus because of weakness. You can knock out. I think Whimsicott has 260, and Shaman has like 250 or something, and then the Glaceon and the other one have like Glaceon, Leafeon have like 260 around ish. So you can just get there. There is an item card we're going to talk about in a minute that I think will definitely help, and that item card could actually potentially push this deck into its own archetype. I'm not sure if it's enough, but like you could probably just play this with Arceus at the very least because you just need to attach a fighting, a double turbo to Arceus, hit for 200, accelerate 3 energy to Lucario, you're getting 2 KOs. Is it really that good? But I do just like the idea of pairing this with Arceus, right? Because you just cover your own weakness by being able to hit for weakness on opposing Arceus decks, and you're playing Arceus, which is an amazing card. So I do like the idea of just doing that. Notice you can use double turbo energy, but doing 240 or 270 with a belt, you will be doing 20 less with Fighting Knuckle, so I would keep that in mind. So the V-Star power, we talked about that a lot, sorry. Or-Star, V-Star power for fighting Colossus, so that is nice to know. That is important because it means you could potentially use this turn 2. Does 70 damage times the number of energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So it says energy, not energy cards. So stuff like double turbo will count as 140 damage, which is good to know. It means stuff like Arceus. I know we're bullying Arceus right now, but yeah, stuff like Arceus, if they have at least 3 energy, you're just getting 1 hit KO, or even just 2 energy actually, you're getting 1 hit KO because it only has 208 HP. Can't believe I'm saying that. When he has 208 HP, you're doing 140, so yeah. So even if Arceus just has like 2 energy attached, you get a 1 hit KO. Obviously, late game against stuff like the Darkrai, we'll see this could be a very strong V-Star power. I do like these attacks. They're just an easy way of getting 1 hit KOs. It's for 2 energy as well, so it's very easy to charge up. I'm a big fan of this Lucario. I know some people are more interested in Darkrai, and Darkrai will be big, but I think this is honestly, nothing to write home, nothing to ignore is what I'm looking for here. Nothing to ignore. Definitely a good card. Darkrai V is boring. Really doesn't have anything going on. Again, 210 HP is nice to see. Weakness to grass is intriguing me because it doesn't necessarily buff Lucario, but it does mean that it'll push like grass style attackers. I think this will push Leafeon V up quite a bit, Leafeon V Star and Leafeon V Max. However, beyond Leafeon V Max and V Star, I'm not sure where we'll go from there, especially considering that Galar Mine rotates for Leafeon a few months after this card comes out, and then we also lose the really good Gossipod from Darkness Ablaze. That also rotates out. So I'm not sure about Grass Weakness, if this is a mistake or not. We'll have to see if Grass Pokemon get any more buffs in the upcoming sets. Hopefully they do, though, because I like Grass Pokemon. But yeah, interesting weakness for sure. Darkrai V-Star, 270, mirroring Lucario in many ways, especially with the 2 retreat cost. Dark Pulse, oh boy, 30 damage and then 30 more for each Dark Energy attached to your Pokemon. I've seen a lot of people say this card is insane, cracked, busted, all the rest of it. I do feel we have to take into account what happened with Rayquaza. Everyone said Rayquaza was a returning archetype, that it was really good back in the day. Rayquaza was even power creeped, had more HP, bigger attack-based damage, and a consistent ability to use on itself. Like everyone said Rayquaza would be tier 1. Look what happened. Rayquaza failed. This does have the benefit of the doubt, though, because, well, the benefit of the doubt in the sense that it could be a lot better than Ray, and probably will be a lot better than Ray. And why it might be a lot better than Ray is because of a few things. The first thing is its attack cost is a lot more forgiving. 2 colors means obviously you just play this with 2 dark energy. It's really helpful. Like this was for 3 energy, I'd be slightly more pessimistic, but 2 energy is amazing. It makes all the difference. Really easy to accelerate this guy and start attacking. And then, of course, we have multiple ways of getting more dark energy into play. The most obvious which is, of course, the Moltres V that lets you attach a dark energy to itself from the discard pile. Then you have the other Moltres, which will be insane with this card. I would definitely pick up a few of those Moltres while you can. The one that does 20 damage and then 50 more for each prize card your opponent's taken, so it will double as a secondary attacker. But that Moltres also attaches 2 dark energy from your hand, to itself, so that's charging up this attack as well. So amazing card. And if that wasn't enough, in this set we also see the release of a reprint of Dark Patch. Dark Patch allowing you to attach a dark energy from your discard pile to one of your benched dark Pokemon. Insane card. Really insane card. So you have that combined with this. You have the Moltres. Between that alone, I would say that's a really good deck. But then you read the V-Star Power, which is where things also just get really broken. During your turn, you may search your discard pile for up to 2 item cards and put them into your hand. So you can just get back more Dark Patch if you really wanted to. It's also worth noting you could find like Ultra Ball to discard maybe a Dark Energy and something else. You find Ultra Balls back and use them to search your deck for Moltres Vs. You put them into play, they attach a Dark Energy to themselves. You find Dark Patch, that's 2 energy in 1 turn, essentially. And then you can find more Dark Patches the next turn. And yeah, I think this is a really good card. I'll have to wait and see in testing to see if this is like going to be the tier 1 deck everyone thinks it will be. It's definitely a good attack, definitely a good typing, definitely a good ability, good weakness as well, actually. So yeah, it should be really good. We have a Hoopa, which is sadly a bit lackluster. Don't like to see bad Hoopas, but again, has the Chandelure effect, unfortunately. Genie Hand for a single Dark Energy, search your deck for Dark Energy and attach it to one of your Pokemon. It's not a very good attack, just because you're spending your attachment to attach to this Hoopa. I'd rather just play the Hoopa from Darkness Ablaze, because that's doing at least 90 damage. That's essentially 3 less energy you need in play if you hit them for 90 first, so I'd rather just play the Hoopa from Darkness Ablaze. If this did like 30 damage or something, I would say maybe it's worth it, because you're at least getting chip damage in, but you're not, so Hoopa's pretty bad, unfortunately. Gutsy Pickaxe is where I thought Lucario maybe had some chance to shine. And certainly, cards like Colossal VMAX will definitely like Gutsy Pickaxe for as long as Colossal's in Standard. So what does Gutsy Pickaxe actually do? Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a fighting energy, attach it to one of your benched Pokemon. Notice it says benched Pokemon. It doesn't like specify which typing, so you can just use this to power up any colors types as well. Otherwise, reveal it to your opponent and put it into your hand. So, for those of you who were around back in the day, Judge's Whistle was a card that just said draw a card. So, like, maybe you just play this as a Judge's Whistle style effect. It's just like one more way to thin through your deck to find stuff. And in fighting decks, is obviously just good acceleration. It's energy acceleration in the form of an item card, always worth looking at. Even stuff like Turbo Patch was on a coin flip. Everyone turned their heads and looked at Turbo Patch because it's just a good effect to be able to accelerate energy. Lucario needing 3 is a little bit maybe too much to ask, unfortunately, because Gutsy Pickaxe, you're going to need there to be one to be a fighting energy on the top of your deck, then you need to have 2 back-to-back turn attachments, but other than that, maybe there is a sort of Gutsy Pickaxe, Lucario, Rogue build. Could be something, I'm not sure yet, but I think this has potential to be a good card. Also a bunch of reprints, but yeah, that's the end of Battle Legion reveals so far. Let me know what you think down below. Love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.